Bill Clinton.
Nice guy. Got a lot of problems coming up, in my opinion, with the famous island with Jeffrey Epstein. A lot of problems.
Barack Obama.
Incompetent president. Knew him like everybody in Palm Beach knew him. I mean, people in Palm Beach knew him. He was a fixture in Palm Beach. I had a falling out with him a long time ago. I don't think I've spoken to him for 15 years. I wasn't a fan. I was not, a long time ago. I'd say maybe 15 years. I was not a fan of his. That I can tell you. I was not a fan of his.
You'll recall that the indictment against Jeffrey Epstein that we filed in July of 2019 charged Epstein with sexual abuse of young girls from 2002 through 2005. This case against Ghislaine Maxwell is the prequel to the earlier case that we brought against Jeffrey Epstein.
On this episode of Just Informed Talk, we're going to take a look at the latest new Q posts, and of course, a major story has broken today. Ghislaine Maxwell, however you say it, Jeffrey Epstein's partner in crime, or possibly the mastermind behind the whole operation, has been arrested by the federal authorities here in the United States. We're going to talk about what that means, so you guys are going to want to stick around to hear that and a whole lot more that the fake news won't tell you. Hi, and welcome to another episode of Just Informed Talk. I'm your host, Craig. Today, you guys know I say thanks. If you guys have hit that subscribe button, it means a lot to me. Thank you. If you haven't, please come here, click the big red subscribe button, make sure you hit the bell, and then select all so you get notified as soon as all these videos get posted. And don't forget to stick around to the end. We do a segment at the end of every episode called God's Grace is Greater. Today, we're going to be talking about the true wisdom from above. And we have some very powerful verses we're going to look at out of the book of James, kind of a continuation of where we left off. And I hope you guys stick around for it because there's such a powerful message that I think we all need to hear. So stick around for that at the end. Now, we're going to pick up right where we left off. We left off at Q post 4558, picking up at 4559, and we have a lot of major stories to get through in these Q posts. So please stick around for all of this. It's going to be big. Plus, before we get into that, I just got to remind you this video is brought to you in part by Brave Browser. If you don't know what it is, use the link in the description to go check it out. You can download it for free. It's an internet browser that is so much better than what you're using now, and it works on your laptop, desktop, or your smart device. So check it out for free. Use the link in the description to download it and learn more about it today. So let's get into the latest Q post. First, we have the American flag posted here with the long stringer as the PNG file name. And like I've said before, I've talked to a few people and I feel like there's definitely some message here that is probably not for anons. It's probably more for operators out in the field, but that's, just a speculative guess at this point. The next part that Q wants us to look at, though, is where it says, "There was a time when our children stood at attention, and with pride put their hand on their heart, and in one united voice recited the Pledge of Allegiance. There was a time when strength and honor meant something. There was a time when standing for our flag meant something. There was a time when our history heritage was taught with pride and respect. There was a time when respect was given to those who served, bled, and died to protect and defend our freedom. There was a time when we were grateful. There was a time when our accomplishments meant something. There was a time when these United States of America, one nation under God, was united. There was a time when these United States of America, one nation under God, was united under the American flag. A flag that was carried in battle by brave patriots as a symbol of freedom and justice for all, no matter race, religion, or background. A beacon of hope when flown, a mark of respect to their memory, to those who willfully sacrificed their lives to defend. There was a time when we the people decided our future. There was a time when we the people had a voice. There was a time when we the people were united and strong. There was a time when the media was free from political bias and corruption. There was a time when our elected leaders stood their ground, dug in, and defended those they represented. How many men and women in uniform are currently serving on the front lines abroad, only to look back in horror to see the homeland on fire? What does the word patriot mean to you? Land of the free, home of the brave? Now is not the time to be complacent. Will you answer the call? Quote, Freedom is never more than one generation away from extinction. We didn't pass it to our children in the bloodstream. It must be fought for, protected, and handed on for them to do the same. Or one day, we will spend our sunset years telling our children and our children's children what it was once like in the United States where men were free. That's from Reagan. Q. And that sums it up. This is why we have to start mobilizing. We can't be complacent. We have to start organizing. We have to start getting in the streets. We have to start getting in front of our mayors, all of our representatives. We need to start taking over city councils, and we need to start taking over all of the positions that are governing us right now, because these people are crazy who are running our country on the leftist side. And then on our side, it seems we have a lot of weak, corrupt, feckless people. So we, the people, have to retake this country, and we're going to do it the right way. So the next Q post that Q wants us to look at is this YouTube video, and it's the Last of the Mohicans soundtrack, and it's a song, kind of the main theme to it. And you know, a lot of people, I guess, recognize this. Q says later it's probably a popular song among some of the military guys out there would probably know it if you've heard it. I'm not going to play it just because, you know, copyrights and whatnot. If I put this on my video, it'll get copyright strikes and they'll pull down the video and everything. So if you guys want to go check it out, I'll leave a link in the description. You can go listen to it for yourself. But I guess there was a relevance there, and Q talks about the relevance a little bit later. So the next post that Q wants us to look at is this. Remember when Q told us about BLM basically just being a front to funnel cash into the pockets of the Democrat Party? Well, everything that Q told us seems to have been confirmed with the latest report that came out yesterday, talking about how Biden was out fundraising President Trump. It's a Fox News article talking about Biden and the DNC outraised Trump and the RNC during blockbuster fundraising month. Well, I wonder, maybe it has to do with the millions of dollars that's being funneled to his campaign from Black Lives Matter. That's funneled through from George Soros and all other foreign entities into these social justice causes, which then end up in the coffers of Democrats somehow. Q told us this is what was going to happen, and they talk about here it was $141 million was raised in June, and that seems to have outdone the Trump campaign at $131 million in June. So, look, you could say what you want, but we all know the truth. We all know how this has happened, and we know what this is. It is an organized attempt to do exactly what they did with Hillary. There's Wall Street and all these foreign entities sowing the seeds into the campaign through these charities and social justice causes, which end up just being fronts for money laundering for the Democrat National Party to get around financial or campaign laws. Campaign finance laws, I should say. So, look, it is what it is. You can look at it. It says, what a coincidence. Nothing to see here, Q. Yeah, so Q told us this was it, and that's basically a confirmation there. And the next post is Major, and Anon on the boards saying, red alert, Ghislaine, I call her Ghislaine because it's America, and I can pronounce that the way I think I should. It says, Maxwell arrested. New York Post article here is attached saying Ghislaine Maxwell, longtime Jeffrey Epstein associate, arrested. And I have looked at some of the paperwork associated with it. The DOJ issued a release for the press here talking about it. There was a press conference that they held today talking about it. They talk about what indictments are coming or what have been released on her. These are unsealed indictments coming out of the Southern District of New York. And if that sounds familiar, that's probably because of this story right here. As you can see from at least, 2 weeks ago, President Trump fired the head of the Southern District of New York. The U.S. Attorney for the Southern District of New York was fired, Jeffrey Berman, not more than 2 weeks or around 2 weeks ago by President Trump. This was the big controversy. But why? Because they were dragging their feet. They were not pulling these charges forward. They were not going to go after Ghislaine Maxwell, is my theory, and that is why they had to fire him and remove him, and then the office continued with the charges as they were coming. So, you know, the left keeps trying to spin it as President Trump had all this big relationship with Jeffrey Epstein. Yeah, he met him a couple times, and the guy bought a membership at his fancy club in Palm Beach. But if you think about it, Trump was the one who kicked him out of the club. Trump was the one who went and told investigators and testified basically, or gave an interview to investigators about Jeffrey Epstein and reported his actions. So none of it makes sense other than the left grasping at straws and just ignoring the whole, Bill Clinton on Jeffrey Epstein's private jet with Rachel Chandler. Like, that never happened. That photo just doesn't exist, even though it does. There's documentable evidence of Bill Clinton going on the jet, and we know he was down in that area. So, and we know that they were best friends for ever. And so, look, it is what it is. Now, Q points us to that and then gives us these two pieces. First off, this is from June 20th. Again, this is what we talked about here with Q dropped it back 2 weeks ago, June 20th, saying the Justice Department, this was the Jeffrey Berman one, saying the SDNY, importance of SDNY control jurisdiction, Wiener evidence collection, Clinton Foundation, Epstein evidence collection, Ukraine, focus on above for now, watch NYC. And then it gave the update where he was fired. It says the guard refusing to step down. This was when Jeffrey Berman came out and put a letter out saying, I have not been told about being fired and I'm not going to leave and da-da-da-da. But then he ended up leaving. And it says appointed to posts by SDNY judges, unusual. So this guy, Berman, was appointed to his position by the judges in the SDNY court, who are in a lot of cases most likely corrupt. The stakes are high. They will fight. Super Bowl equals puppy show, Q. So I don't know. Super Bowl to puppy show, that could mean a whole bunch of different things. But Q's pointing us back to this one to remind us how important the removal of Berman was, and that guy was the same one who was probably hiding and covering up for the Wiener evidence, what was happening on Wiener's laptop, the Clinton Foundation connection to crime against children, from the Investigator General, from the Inspector General's report. Also talking about Ukraine, all of that information that came out about Biden, post 4500 from Q, which was the video of the press conference from Ukraine where they were explaining in detail the dollar to the dollar amount, the bribes that were exchanging hands between Biden and his associates through the Hussein administration in Ukraine with regard to getting Victor Shokin, or not Victor, I think it was Victor Shokin, the prosecutor who was investigating his son's corrupt connections to Burisma, his son who was in a partnership with John Kerry's stepson and a guy named Devin Archer, right, who had been making millions of dollars through their just family ties, just so happen. Yeah. So there's a lot more to investigate there. Then Q points us to this one as well from January of 2020, where it said, you didn't think we highlighted Epstein for no reason, did you? Those who were once protected are no longer, were once protected are no longer. Timing is everything. Hunters become prey. Q. And we're going to get into Q alluding to the fact that Ghislaine Maxwell may have been the mastermind behind all of this operation through her father, and even more important than Epstein in all of this. So we're getting new posts as we go here. We'll get into the latest, but that's what Q wants us to look at. We'll cover this a little more closely in a second here because there's more posts out that cover this. The next post, though, that Q wants us to look at is this Fox News article, and it talks about feds arresting the ringleader in the attack on Andrew Jackson's statue by the White House. This is a big, major development, in my opinion. The guy has been identified. He seems to go under the name Jason Charter, and even Andy No over here on Twitter has, found his picture and identified him as well. I mean, look at this person. These people want to run this country. I mean, I'm not going to get into physical looks here because that's neither here nor there, but the guy does look like he's been on meth for the last 6 months or 6 years even. So, yeah, that's what we're up against. And I think this is the same guy who went and got into Jack Posobiec's face. You guys have probably seen that video on Twitter or on the internet where Jack Posobiec was attacked basically as he walked through the park. And everybody says, Jack's this, Jack's that. And I get it, right? But the point is that this guy is a ringleader. He's one of the major players, I think, in trying to orchestrate this Antifa violence. These are the people who want to bring a Marxist revolution or anarchist revolution into our country, get rid of our systems of law and order. They're basically the paid thugs of the Democrat Party, and they're out there like Mao's Red Guard committing acts of violence and hate crimes and all types of things. That's why they have to be stopped. They have to be basically picked up and perp walked, as Dan Bongino said, on national television. We need to expose each and every one of them so that it's a message to all their friends never to try this, that they will never succeed in overthrowing our republic. Q says, quote from the article, "These sources add that Charter has connections to Antifa." Well, yeah, so we knew that. The next one here talks about that video we saw, The Last of the Mohicans song that Q gave us. It says, "Perhaps some understood the significance of the music posted yesterday. How many of our brothers and sisters play this song prior to the drop, Landing Zone? It's going to be a very hot summer. Add to your playlist, Q." So obviously I think what Q is referring to is the fact that dropping into an LZ usually means troops of some kind, whether paratroops or otherwise, dropping into an LZ, landing zone. And yeah, that'd be troops going into battle. That would be the kind of music they might listen to. And if you guys are out there and know that, you can appreciate it. So it's definitely something that Q, had to clarify, I'm sure, because people probably were freaking out over on the boards. But that's, that tends to happen. So yeah, the next post here, though, is even more fascinating and disturbing. So let's get into it. It says, "Possible Epstein was a puppet, not the main person of interest. Financed by who or what foreign entities? 1. Primary. Gather blackmail on elected politicians, dignitaries, royalty, Hollywood influencers, Wall Street, and other financial top-level players, other high-profile industry-specific people, etc. 2. Feed an addiction. Controllable. Maxwell family background, Robert Maxwell history, intel agency wealth, classified 1 through 99. Sometimes it's the people in the background that are of greater significance." Q. Wow. So, as you guys see here, obviously Q is telling us to look at the history and the background of Robert Maxwell. Here it is, The Murky Life and Death of Robert Maxwell and How It Shaped His Daughter Ghislaine. This was written back in August of 2019 over on The Guardian, but there are other reports and write-ups. But if you look at Robert Maxwell's history, he's connected to the Mossad, and he's connected to a bunch of other intelligence agencies, and he was mysteriously found dead on his yacht. That really none of it made sense, other than it did look like a very suspicious, mysterious death at the time. And he was a magnate, and his daughter went on to be with Maxwell. So I think what Q is alluding to, let's just be quite honest, is that this is some sort of setup. This was a intelligence operation that was being run with 2 primary objectives. 1, to get blackmail on politicians, dignitaries, royalty, Hollywood, Wall Street, etc. And 2 is to make them controllable by feeding into their sick proclivities and then using that as a form of control over them. Now, ultimately, we can read through that and we can read a bunch into it, but there's only so much to go on right now. It seems the indictments that are coming up against Ghislaine are very serious, and they're going to be tied in with a bunch of other major stories, and people are going to go out there and they're going to make these crazy accusations. But what I thought was very interesting that they pointed out over on Twitter, I believe it was Jeff over at In the Matrix, he was saying this, that you guys remember this post that Q gave us, right? From May 17th. Gave us the full timeline ending, the 10th week ending now in July 4th, right? The 4th of July weekend would be the 10th weekend. Q told us where we were at. The Flynn DOJ dismissal was week 1. The FISA unmasked D-class public select dates was week 2. Then it was classified 1 through 99 week. That was where we were. That was when we were getting information about the, Joe Biden and everything and the way that he was being bribed. Then all the time later, it's been that many weeks since May. Here we are. It was culminating in the 4th of July, and we are here, as it says in the next one, at week 9. Q says marker 9 here, back from December of 2019, saying, "First indictment unseal will trigger mass population awakening. First arrest will verify action and confirm future direction. They will fight, but you are ready. Marker 9, Q." So look, that's where we are. week 9, marker 9. I mean, I thought when I saw it, I was like, that hit me, because it makes perfect sense. Week 10 is going to be something even bigger, as I've been hearing the whole time, that this crescendo will end in a crescendo of sorts, where there's going to be a major set of indictments. This is going to be the starting point. And look, it is what it is. If it happens, it happens. If it doesn't, it doesn't. It seems that everything that Q has predicted is happening on a regular basis. Today is just another indicator of that, another proof of Q, if you will, to see that there was a major arrest of Ghislaine Maxwell. That is huge. That is major. That is big, big news. So that's what we're going to cover here so far. And if you guys want to understand what the Intel Agency Wealth Classified 1 through 99, I'll leave some links to some background on Robert Maxwell, but suffice it to say, he's connected to the British intelligence, he's connected to the deep state intelligence, and he's connected to the Mossad. So who knows, but they're all feeding the same, I think, organization, the same organized crime effort, if you will. Look at what Hugh Hefner was doing with the Playboy Mansion. That's just one example of what I think was happening here with Epstein, who was probably seemingly just a pawn of Maxwell, which would then call into question, was it Maxwell who ordered the termination, let's just say, in the prison of Epstein? Could they have organized that? And then they go, oh, well, you know, the leftists keep yelling it was Trump. Not very likely. So this is what we have so far as information goes. A few more things to understand here is this just came out today. Attorneys representing Epstein accuser Virginia Griff, or I can't say her last name, Giffrey, must destroy evidence from her case against Ghislaine Maxwell after improperly gaining access to documents, the court's ruling. So now they're making them destroy documents that are involved in the case. I mean, I get the fruit of the poisonous tree type scenario here, but yeah, we'll see what those documents end up being. One more story to report on before we get to go here. I want to touch on the fact that there was a book that came out back in May that had made claims that Jeffrey Epstein's madam, who may have been the mastermind behind the whole blackmail operation through her father and connections to the Mossad and other intelligence agencies, was having an affair with Bill Clinton. Now, this is allegations made in this book saying that Bill Clinton's obsession with being near Jeffrey Epstein really had to do with an obsession with being near Ghislaine Maxwell. And if you think about it, if she is connected the way that we see, that makes perfect sense. So it's just another example of the corruption that we're trying to remove from our government, while people, you know, burn buildings down and loot and riot and commit random acts of hate crimes. We're actually working to arrest people who are trying to destroy this nation. We're actually working to restore law and order. We're working for everyone, including those people out there who are, you know, marching in a lot of cases for causes that they don't even fully understand, or don't even understand how they're being used as pawns in a much bigger game that is meant to destabilize this nation as we uncover these criminals. So I just thought I'd leave that there, you know, food for thought. Everybody could chew on that. And that's where we're going to go ahead and wrap it up. A few more things before we go. Come here, watch these last few videos, share them on your social media, get the word out that way. Also, don't forget to leave your thoughts, theories, and insights below. I want to hear what you guys have to think about everything that we covered here today, especially today, given how big this news is. Also, don't forget you can find me over on Twitter for now at JustInformYou until they kick me off this platform. They've already basically slowed down the traffic and they've put on whatever shadow banning they have to. So, you know, if you want to come support me over here, you can. It's another way to contact me and get in touch with the channel and connect with what we're doing here. Also at informed_news is the other Twitter page. Plus, I'm on Parler now at Just Informed Talk, and on BitChute is the backup channel at Just Informed, bitchute.com/justinformedtalk, and of course the official website for Just Informed Talk, justinformednews.com, is a site you can check out. Links will be in the description. Also, if you want to help out this channel, there is Patreon. It's a monthly donation through a crowdfunding website. You set it and forget it. You know, you're helping create content. You know, they suppress these videos. They demonetized my whole channel. They've tried to put this channel out of business, but you guys have kept it going, your donations. So if you want to sign up to help support this content on a regular basis, come check out patreon.com/justinformedtalk. And I have a GoFundMe set up if you want to make a one-time or anonymous donation. Links to everything will be in the description below this video. Now, before we go, we do a segment at the end of each one of these episodes called God's Grace is Greater, where we talk about God's grace and how it is truly greater. And today, we have a very important message that I want to share to look at here out of the book of James. Now, we're kind of continuing, but a little bit in reverse order in the book of James, where our last few segments have been covering chapter 4 and chapter 5, and we talked about pride versus humility, and we also talked about, waiting for the Lord and effective prayer and what all those things kind of mean. But today I want to talk about the wisdom from above. What is true wisdom from above? And especially in these tough, trying times, when we see these moments where we make these small gains, right, in battling this evil that exists and bringing justice and restoring order, we have to remind ourselves about what wisdom we should be seeking, whether it's the wisdom of this age or if it's the wisdom of God. And it's always going to be the wisdom of God. So I want to share these words with you. So this is from the book of James, chapter 3, verse 13 through 18. It says, "Who is wise and understanding among you? He should show his works by good conduct with wisdom's gentleness. But if you have bitter envy and selfish ambition in your heart, don't brag and lie in defiance of the truth. Such wisdom does not come down from above, but is earthly, sensual, demonic. For where envy and selfish ambition exist, there is disorder and every kind of evil. But the wisdom from above is first pure, then peace-loving, gentle, compliant, full of mercy and good fruits, without favoritism and hypocrisy, and the fruit of righteousness is sown in peace by those who make peace." Wow. Now, we talked about this briefly in the last episode, but I want to retouch on it today. What is the ultimate wisdom here that we can take away from this? I think it really has to do with that last verse where it says, "The fruit of righteousness is sown in peace by those who make peace." And you think to yourself, wow, that's profound, but how can I apply it to my life? Well, I think, as I said in the last segment that we did on this channel, we talked about reaching out to those who we disagree with. And I want to remind everyone out there, and me, myself personally, I have instances inside of my own family where, because of political differences, I don't speak to certain individuals who I've grown up very close to, and I feel very separated from them right now. And although I do with my family every day, multiple times, pray for those who I don't speak to on a regular basis anymore because of our political differences, who we grew up very close, I also keep reminding myself that I need to start reaching out more. And I'm in the process of doing that, and I'm encouraging all of you to do the same, because how do we overcome this? How do we win against this evil that exists? I think that's a lot of people, they go, oh, well, we have to show them that everyone's evil, and it's going to make them realize that we were right, and then we can kind of rub it in their face, and then they'll apologize, and then everything will be fine. But I don't think that's the answer. And I'll tell you why. Because the more I understand about God's wisdom, and the more I understand about this earth and the way that people generally are, that it's hard for people to admit they were wrong. And a part of Christianity, a major part of it, teaches us that humility is one of the strongest and most powerful things we can possess, and that's humbleness. That's being humble. That means that you don't know everything, and having that humility is something that, if we embrace it, can be a huge strength. So, as it says here, it says, "But the wisdom from above is first pure, then peace-loving, gentle, compliant, full of mercy and good fruits, without favoritism and hypocrisy." So what I see here when I see that is, we have to lead by example. We can't turn around and say, oh, well, told you so, and it's all bad, and we were right and you were wrong. What we have to do is we have to reach out to them, and we have to consistently work on building a dialogue and finding things that we have in common, because we have to help them realize that they may be going down the wrong path. And you know what? Believe it or not, God may provide them with the ability to change your life and give you a different perspective. So instead of burning bridges as the left wants to do and tearing down statues and committing violence and lashing out, let's do the opposite. Let's make peace with those we love, those we want to share this country with, those who are a part of our family or our friends, people maybe that we haven't talked to. You know, some people, it could be your best friend, it could be your brother, it could be your sister, it could be your mom, it could be your dad, it could be your niece or nephew, it could be anyone who you felt this division from. Reach out, make the effort. God will give you the guidance you need. Just say a prayer and make sure you ask God, please give me the wisdom on how to reach out to this person, how to talk to them, how to start that conversation that I haven't had for so long. God can do it. So that's my message to each and every one of you. Please take it and use it out in the world there and share it with everyone else. So that's where I'm going to leave it. Thanks for watching this episode. Remember to come here, hit the subscribe button. Also, don't forget to punch it, tap it, bop it, twist it, whatever. Hit the like button if you guys like this content and want to see me make more. That's it for me, though. Thanks for watching Just Informed Talk. My name is Craig. Godspeed and God bless each and every one of you, Patriots.